out. The Organization of American States carries through on its threat to suspend Honduras as the ousted president vows to return. Harking back to another revolution, defiant shouts keep ringing from Tehran rooftops as Iran's most important religious body calls for the election result to be set aside. And death on the streets. We'll have an up-close look at Canadian gang violence. These are our top stories. I'm Natalie Allen, and you're watching CNN Today. It's been nearly half a century since the Organization of American States suspended one of its own. Now Honduras is out for deposing President Manuel Zelaya. The vote in Washington early today was 33-0. Zelaya addressed the OAS meeting and said he still plans to return home today. The interim government says it will jail him for treason and 17 other charges if he does. Thousands of supporters in Honduras are answering Zelaya's call to welcome him home. Carl Pinhall now on the rising tensions.
A police chief warns protesters to stay back or risk clashes with riot cops. March organizers try to restrain thousands of working-class supporters of ousted leftist President Manuel Zelaya. We'll die for President Zelaya. We've not had a coup for years and we don't want this one now, says this mechanic. Pushing and shoving breaks out. Protesters are trying to reach the airport and secure a landing site. Zelaya is vowing to return to Honduras this weekend and reclaim his presidency. The interim government, ushered in by Sunday's coup, says it will arrest him. As riot police realize they're outnumbered, the order comes to pull back. Before using force, we have to negotiate. If we're outnumbered, we must talk and try to avoid problems, he says.
The protesters are pushed through police lines to this point, but security forces are allowing them to go no further. They're trying to keep the terminal building open for as long as possible.
Zelaya's support base is among Honduras's working class, thanks to his reforms aimed at reducing poverty. But the business elite and wealthier middle class, backed by the military, accuse him of trying to stage a power grab and set up a socialist state along the lines of his ally, Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The new government has charged him with treason, and in a national TV address, Honduras's top Catholic Archbishop warned Zelaya to stay away. We think if you take hasty actions, if you try to return, it could trigger a bloodbath. Please think carefully, because afterwards it will be too late, he says. Zelaya has said he may fly into Honduras Sunday, accompanied possibly by other Latin American presidents. His supporters are preparing another rally to welcome him and protect him from arrest. We just hope the president arrives tomorrow, then we can resolve this problem and everybody can go home and celebrate in love and peace, he says. Zelaya loyalists say they're not looking for a fight, but warn they're not scared of confronting the military if they have to. Carl Penhall, CNN, Tegucigalpa.
Russia, China, and the U.S. are calling for calm after North Korea test-fired 7 ballistic missiles off its eastern coast. South Korea and Japan both denounced the launches, which are banned under UN sanctions. The launches on Saturday appeared to be a slap at Washington, coming against the backdrop of U.S. Independence Day. Some analysts suspect that the missile launches are a form of diplomatic saber-rattling by leader Kim Jong-il. John Valls has a look at the sometimes strange ways of North Korea's dear leader.
With the bouffant hair, platform shoes, oversized sunglasses and trademark jumpsuit, Kim Jong-il looks every bit the nutty tyrant.
The appearance made it a little bit more difficult to treat him seriously, at least at first.
He's the diminutive dictator with a reputation for indulging in fine wines, cognac and foreign prostitutes. He holds total power over a failing state, developed nuclear weapons and forced the U.S. to negotiate.
That is not necessarily the work of a womanizing booze-swilling individual drunk during the day.
Inside North Korea, it's all about Kim, portrayed by his propaganda machine as a political, military, technological, artistic and cinematic genius. A Renaissance man who's flown fighter jets, written operas and shot 11 holes in one at his first try at golf. His public appearances are breathlessly reported on state media. He's hailed as the central brain and the morning star. He's a crazed ruler who loves to make people dance. At one time, 1 million of them all at once and all in step, presiding over a nation more cult than country. You chase away fierce storms and give us faith, they sing. His official biography says he was born in a log cabin on a sacred Korean mountain under rainbows and stars. Western scholars say it was probably in Siberia at a Soviet camp where his father was training to fight.
Bond.
He loves movies. James Bond is apparently among his favourite, but he reportedly was unhappy with North Korea's portrayal in Die Another Day. No word on what he thought about Team America. In the late 1970s, it's believed he personally ordered the kidnapping of a South Korean actress and her director husband, and for 8 years until they escaped, forced them to make propaganda films. Kim did apologise for North Korea's kidnapping of 13 Japanese and allegedly approved the bombing of a Korean Airlines flight which killed more than 100 people. The apparent motive was to disrupt the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul. Well, US officials dubbed North Korea the Soprano State for its role in organised crime, including the production and distribution of heroin and methamphetamines.
His legacy will be that he actually made some pretty bad choices for his country.
The man who, every day it seems, has a bad hair day, also starves his people, has threatened South Korea with the 4th largest military in the world and built missiles that could reach Japan and possibly beyond. John Vos, CNN Beijing.
North Korea will certainly be